The fifth topic of the exam is called adjusting images. Here you mainly need to know about cropping, resizing and straightening images. It's quite a short topic, so there's not much to cover here. And there's only 4 videos including this overview. But don't underestimate the questions, because there can be some tricky ones. Again, things that you might never use in Photoshop, but they still can ask it in the exam. So as I said, first of all, I'm going to give you an overview in this video of this topic, and then we are going to look into all the other parts in more detail. So first of all, it's good to have the status bar set to document dimensions for this topic, because we are going to mainly talk about the pixel sizes and the resolution. And if you have the document dimensions selected, then you will see exactly that. It's also good to know that you have the rulers, which you can turn off from the view menu. And if you right click on them, you can change the measurement. And it's good to set them to pixels in this case. There might be a question in the exam, like try to calculate the necessary pixels based on a print size. And they can say that the print size is 10 by 8 inch, and you have to print it with 300 ppi resolution, which is a standard for a high quality print. Now in that case, all you need to do is to remember how to calculate the necessary pixel numbers. If there's 10 inch width and 300 ppi, that means you have to calculate 10 times 300, which is 3000. And then if the height is 8 inch, then again 8 times 300, that's 2400 pixels. So your answer will be 3000 by 2400 pixels is the necessary pixel number. And if I want to check the sizes for this image, I would go to the image size dialog box, which we are going to cover in much more detail in the following videos. But what I would like to talk about here is the canvas size. So if I go to canvas size, we can see that the width and the height is also here in pixels. But what we can use the canvas size for is to extend or also to subtract from our canvas. So it won't resample the image, it will just add more space in our canvas or remove from it depending on what we do. And there's one very important option here called the relative. If I turn this on, and I can add pixels relative to the size that I have. So I can type in 100 width and that will add 100 pixel width, which will be 50 pixels on the right and 50 pixels on the left, because my anchor is set to the center. If I put the anchor on the right, that means I will put 100 pixels additionally on the left. So let's just have a look at that. If I click on OK, you can see we have 100 pixel width here. And the way I can see it's 100 pixels is by dragging out the guide, and I can check it, and it's actually there 100 pixels. So it was correct. By the way, if you hold down Shift whenever you drag a guide, it can snap to specific pixel sizes. So if I go back to the canvas size, you can also see that we have an option for the extension color, which can be white, gray, foreground, background, or any other color. So I'm just going to change it to white for now. And I show you that if you turn off the relative option, then you will be able to use the absolute numbers. So that's the actual document width now. But if I type in, for example, 4000, then that means there will be an additional around 400 pixels added, both on the right and left in this case, because I have the anchor in the middle. So if I click OK, we can see that additional pixels there. The keyboard shortcut for the canvas size, by the way, is Ctrl-Alt-C or Command-Alt-C on the Mac. And there's one more thing I want to show you, and that's that you can change the measurements separately by shift clicking on them. If I don't hold down Shift and I change the pixels to inches, for example, they both change to it. But if I hold down Shift and click on this, change it to pixels, it will only be changed on that value. It's also good to know that you can find the rotate image options in the image menu. And then you also have the flip canvas options here. It's good to know about the trim and reveal options as well. Trim is useful when you have transparency in your image. So if I just go back a couple of times and I double click on my background layer to turn it into a normal layer, and then I use the canvas size again to expand it. So I'm just going to type in 4000 by 3000, for example. And we see we have a lot of transparency around the image. And now I can even move the image around, maybe there. And then I can choose the image trim option. And I can decide which parts are unnecessary in the canvas. I can either use transparent pixels, or I can use top left pixel color or bottom right pixel colors. And I can also choose which parts to trim away. If I use these default options, it will get rid of all the transparent pixels from the canvas. So if I click on OK, it will snap back to the actual content in my canvas. And if my canvas size is smaller than the image, I can also do that, for example, with the crop tool, which I'm going to talk about in more detail soon. So if I drag this in and I make my canvas much smaller by accepting this crop, but having the delete crop pixels turned off, so meaning we will still have the image available outside of our canvas, the image content. And I can also tell that by right clicking on my thumbnail and set it to large. So here I can still see the whole image. That means we have some hidden image details outside of our canvas. So then if I go to image and choose reveal all, that will show all the hidden parts of my layer. So I'm sure I don't have to tell you, but make sure you go through the image menu. For this topic, that's probably the most important one. So make sure you check all of these options here, apart from maybe the adjustments, because we are going to talk about that in another topic. So that's all I wanted to tell you in this overview of the topic. And in the next video, I am going to explain the crop tool in more detail.